as an emerging or frontier economy, we actually should focus more on the fiscal leg, right? Ditto government spending, bullish government spending to drive infrastructural development, reduction in taxation and stuff like that to encourage investment, right? And again, to a reduction in the monetary policy rate to encourage the deposit money banks to, avail facilities, jumpstart the economy and stuff like that. But essentially what we're doing is a contractionary monetary policy and a contractionary fiscal policy. Because government is not spending enough, the tax regime is not friendly. The MPC recently came out again where there's the MPRO rate is kept stable, and it's double digit, right? So again too is the cash reserve ratio. I mean, it's pretty high, So these are factors or policy measures I think are not positive for us, and I've adduced reasons severally, and I've actually made reference to what Brazil did over a 30-year period, which Nigeria needs to look at and see what moved Brazil from a developing economy, right, a third world economy, to a first world economy.
Well, OSILAMA, surely there must be something good in what the CBN is doing. I mean, there must be some rationale behind the decisions that they've taken. Absolutely,
and my position is not that they're not doing something right. I mean, let's put certain things into perspective. Over a 20 to 25-year period, the biggest central banks globally have actually been, targeting inflation. I mean, that's a policy that they carry out. The Bank of England, the Reserve Bank, the People's Bank of China. And that's essentially because these economies have reached the zenith. The only way essentially for them to go now is down. We are just scratching the surface. And I keep saying this, approach of cutting and pasting what, for example, the Bank of England is doing, it's not going to help us because we're not faced with the same challenges. So I'm not saying the central bank is not doing what they necessarily should, especially given the fact that the fiscal leg is snoozing and the economy, is actually suffering for it. To the extent that the policy that they've adopted over a period of time has led to a situation where Nigerians and even global financial players in our system have attained some level of predictability, because over a period of time, you see the rate has been stable, which gives the other economic players the impetus to take certain decisions because they know this is what it's going to be, and it's good. In economics, there's what we refer to as rational and adaptive expectations. Where a situation where if you take a position at point A, based on certain parameters you're looking at, if at the end point, right, those expectations are met, then that's rational expectation. Yeah, but if they are not met,
it's not working,
then it means you now have to make certain, you have to adapt, right? Okay, now, but you see, over a period of time, players within the economy can say, okay, this is what the central bank is going to do, and it's always been like that. But like I've always avowed, the approach of targeting inflation, which is contractionary, comes at a price, growth. Because economics has always been about making a choice between inflation and growth. They are inversely related. A situation where your focus is towards inflation targeting, it means growth is suffering because investment possibilities are restricted and stuff like that. So I'm not putting down what the central bank is doing. I mean, they're doing quite a good job, especially if you juxtapose it with the fact that the fiscalists are snoozing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're saying at least they are doing something?
No, they absolutely are doing something. But I'm just saying, if you now, as a standalone, but if you now take it, if you now look at the economy on a macro level, there should be coordination between the two legs. And there isn't.
I'm going to piggyback off what you said to ask my next question. So Nigeria and China recently entered into a currency swap to ease pressure on the naira, especially with regards to forex transactions, but not a lot has happened on that front. Why is that?
The question I'm going to ask you is, what do you produce that you export apart from oil?
Exactly.
You know, so the pressure on the naira is going to continue because, I mean, we're not dealing with China alone. I mean, again, what's our percentage of, you know, transactions, right? International trading transactions with China, vis-a-vis the rest of the world.
So we're going to continue feeling that pressure because we
definitely
are
we are a consumer nation, and China is not our biggest partner. It's not. America, Britain, Germany. I mean, by the time you put all these other countries together, China, you know, doesn't come close. You know, so the pressure is going to be there for these two reasons. We're not producing anything. We're not exporting. So if you don't export, you don't earn. So the pressure is going to remain. You know, it's a good policy on its own, but we need to understand that these things are it's like a coin, and a coin has two sides. You know, you don't just go into a deal without putting certain measures in place, you know, to deal with, you know, other issues that could crop up. If we need to up our, you know, productivity levels, manufacturing right now is not doing well.
That's actually really sad because we've been talking about increasing production and manufacturing for such a long time, and I just want to go off for a second and ask you, what is stopping us manufacturing more?
Let me tell you something.
There's so much money being injected into this economy, time after time. So what is it?
There? Again, like I said, we are a frontier economy. We're emerging. We can't do it alone. We need foreign partners. We need foreign direct investors or investment. Now, you see, but for them to do that, there are certain things they need to put into perspective. There's what we refer to as a PESO analysis. You need to look at the political, economic. Technological, the legal framework.
What did you call it? A petal analysis?
PESO.
Petal.
You have to look at the political, the economic, the socio-cultural, the technological, legal, and then the environmental factors. Now, during your earlier interview with Bode, you talked about Nigeria being rated as one of the lowest on ICT. So that brings to fore what I just... The technological part of it is not encouraging. So, I mean, this is the digital, this is the Google generation. If investors are going to come and they can't seamlessly operate in a global village, it's discouraging. Now, if you look at recent events in our political space, in the last 1 week, I mean, what happened in Osun State? If you are a foreign investor, the question I want to ask yourself is this a country I want to come and invest in? On a scale of 1 to 10, if you keep striking 3, 4, 5, you certainly will want to balk. And if this is a signal towards 2019, if I was a foreign investor, for example, I mean, I'll have a rethink. You know, so these are some of the factors that affect, you know, our drive towards manufacturing or productivity. The manufacturing sector is not operating anywhere close its potential or its optimum. The GDP contribution from that sector right now, it's less than 15%. Yes, it is. It's less than 15%. Agriculture is between 20 to 23. You know, the focus now is we're looking at the non-oil sector. So let's leave oil and gas aside. Now, these are very key, you know, sectors within the economy. Agriculture is key. Agriculture can extend or snowball towards manufacturing. Yeah, if, for example, I produce mangoes or oranges, right? At the end of it, I mean, for some people, when they consume it immediately as it is, that's the end product. But for some other persons, for some other investors or manufacturers, they could, you know, translate that into, you know, juice and things like that. You know, so exactly. So it's a chain.
Well, you know, Nigeria only recently exited a recession to growth, right? And of course, a lot of people argue that there's still so much to be done, especially when you compare it to other fast-growing African economies. And you have nations like Ghana, which seems to be outperforming us in various measures, right? And then now they're expelling Nigerians just like we expelled them in 1983. I'm just trying to figure out from your point of view how things got that bad.
things are not that bad. If you're making a comparison between Nigeria and Ghana, the Ghanaian economy is not anywhere as big as the Lagos economy.
Of course not.
So I mean, let's compare apples with apples, not apples with oranges. No, so no, I'm not of that school of thought that things are so bad.
Did you just say Ghana is not an apple?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Compared to us. Yeah, and that's not being derogatory to them.
Of course.
I love the Ghanaians.
Science.
I like visiting. I've visited a couple of times, and I love the Ghanaians. My name even sounds Ghanaian.
It does.
Yeah. So, for me, what happened in 1983 and what they are doing now, they're not the same thing.
Okay.
We are not leeching on their economy. We're actually helping to grow their economy. The challenge I see is this is their own crude way of protecting. This is protectionism, right? The average Nigerian, when you step into a space, you want to control it.
True.
We are assertive as a people. The Ghanaians are not. You know, they are more temperate.
They're more laid back, yeah.
Exactly. So they are finding it difficult to compete with Nigerians. What are they doing? They are closing shops owned by Nigerians. Did we close shops in 1980? They didn't even have shops to be closed.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. The difference here is that they can't stand the competitive spirit and nature of the average Nigerian. So the government is like, well, we need to take care of our people first. So this is Ghana first, just like Trump is mouthing and pushing American first. So you wouldn't really blame them. But it's not because things are so bad. Things are not so bad.
And the relationship isn't that sour.
No, it's not. I mean, like I said, we have a lot in common. Okay. We compete on issues of who has the best jollof rice, you know, and stuff like that. But even they know that we are their big brother, you know, when it comes to the economy. And we're discussing economics now.
Yeah.
The Nigerian economy is in no way to be compared with the Ghanaian economy. Not by a stretch.
And I think when you mention protectionism, we are not doing that to foreigners because the economy is so large that the amount of people here, whether it's opening businesses or doing work, are not affecting us because, of course, we're so...
Again, too, because you need foreigners to come and do business happily, right? Yes. I think that, and which is a mistake the Ghanaians are making. You know, I think they should have a rethink and allow Nigerians to operate, but not push them out in the way they are doing right now.